All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Katie Frederick, and I am the digital content manager for VisionAware, and we are part of the AccessConnect Center. And today we have an exciting webinar topic that we are going to cover, and that is the topic of holiday gift giving. And if you are like me and you're in the audience, you're wondering where 2021 has gone, maybe feeling satisfied that it might be coming to a close, but believe it or not, it is time to start thinking about that holiday shopping season. It's here upon us now. And we brought together a great panel of individuals to share with us some great ideas for holiday gift giving for anyone on the list who may be blind or have low vision. So with that, I would like to turn it over to my colleague, Chris Rogers, to introduce the panel, and then we will begin with the presentation. So Chris, thank you.
Thank you, Katie. I'm very excited about this webinar this evening. We first started talking about this with our VisionAware peer advisors, and we thought how fun it would be to do this and to bring information to you. The peers, by the way, have written a blog post about some of their favorite things, and I'll put a link to that into the chat so everybody can find that if you haven't found it already. But so tonight we have with us one person who's not a peer. She is a CareerConnect advisor. Her name is Lisa Lloyd. She lives in California with her 2 Indian adopted daughters, and she comes from a large extended family of individuals with retinitis pigmentosa. And she's into counseling education, and she has a passion for careers and career exploration. So there you go, CareerConnect. But she loves gift giving. So we invite her to be on the call tonight, and she's going to talk about gifts for kids of all ages. So she's going to go first, but I'm going to introduce everybody first, and then we'll go back to Lisa. We have Maribel Steele, who is a peer advisor, VisionAware peer advisor. She's from Australia. And by the way, I forgot to mention that Lisa is married to an Australian. So we have 2 connections to Australia on this call this evening. I think that's very interesting. Maribel is a writer and she's a speaker. She's a certified vocational trainer. She has written a book called Blindness for Beginners, and she's been a peer advisor with us for several years. So we're really excited to have Maribel with us tonight. We have Steve Kelley, who is all things tech. Steve works for Hadley, and he also is an AccessWorld contributor. He's been a peer advisor with us for a long time as well. He has his master's in vision rehabilitation therapy, and he also has his certification in assistive technology instruction. And so he has a lot of information about technology and has written a lot for VisionAware on that topic. And finally, we have with us Jeannie Johnson. Jeannie is all things cooking, okay? She's written a lot of blog posts for VisionAware on cooking, and she actually runs a Facebook group called All Tech Small Kitchen Electric. I hope I got that all right. If I didn't, Jeannie can correct me. But she's always writing about new kitchen appliances which make it easier to cook. So I know you will really enjoy her presentation tonight. And she has just written one on a post on holiday cooking. So I'll put a link up to that as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Lisa as our first speaker. So go for it, Lisa.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Again, I'm Lisa. I'm from Sunnyvale, California. And I just want to talk about a couple overall arching themes in terms of gift giving. When I'm purchasing a gift for someone or making a gift for someone, I always think about what their personal interests are. And gift giving is very individual. Just like all of us are uniquely different, the gift that we give has to be matching with who that person is, right? So I also look into what they already have. So if it buying something for a child, I might ask the parents, because there's no point if they already have 2 beep balls and me buying them another beep ball. So I try and narrow it down so that it's something that they'll really appreciate and they don't already have. I also think about the budget, like how much money do I have to spend on this particular gift? Some gifts can cost a bit more, especially if they're on the techie side. And that doesn't mean that it's out of my budget. So I might get together working with a couple of friends or family members and put some money together in order to buy a gift that might cost a little bit more money that would have been out of reach for just, me personally, but it makes more possible for that person. So if everyone contributes, $20 or whatever is in their budget, maybe it's possible for them to get a smart cane or something else that may be a little bit more pricey. Gift wrapping wise, I find it a little hard as I've been losing more of my vision in more recent years to wrap the gifts nicely. So I usually go with a gift bag and tissue paper. And I find that those can also be recycled. And so that makes me feel a little bit better environmentally as well. Braille greeting cards. There are lots of options on the internet these days. If you don't know Braille and you're gifting to a child or an adult who uses Braille, that is an option between $7 to $11. You can go online, even to Amazon or Etsy, and someone else can provide a Braille card for you, which has tactile graphics on it. Posting, when posting has gotten more expensive, the postage, some things can go for a free matter for the blind. So just keep that in mind. And one thing I find, there are some overall reaching gifts that seem to work for a lot of people, and specialty food items tends to be one of them when I'm gifting to the blind and visually impaired. I did some online research and I came across chocolatevault.com, and they have brailled chocolates, or you can buy a mold. And so that was one of the gifts that I thought that a lot of people would appreciate. The other thing is children grow and develop so fast. Last year, I was buying some gifts that were Barbie dolls for some of the girls in the family. And this year, they're all on iPhones. So you really have to check in with the parents and find out developmentally, what stage are they at? What should I be looking at? Because they can learn and grow and change just so fast. And the other thing I think about is, am I supporting a local business? Am I supporting a blind person's business? And who do I want to support? So I came across the Blind Mice Mega Mall website, and I was excited to see that there's about 12 to 13 different stores that blind and visually impaired people have set up there. And who doesn't want to support, a fellow blind or visually impaired person? The last thing I wanted to mention is, as parents of children who are blind, a lot of times we are buying IEP gifts for our team members. So there's a lot of options for that are very affordable. In my case, we probably have about 12 IEP team members for just one daughter and 8 for the other IEP team for my other daughter. So as you can imagine, that can get pretty costly. So in the past, I've given the brailled pendants for $6.50 each, and different colors with different words brailled on them. And those have been very popular. The Braille quote magnets, which are about $5, very affordable. And this year I've come across the chocolate Braille message cards, which are about $11. So those things hopefully will be helpful to you. I wanted to break down the children and teenagers into 3 categories. I have the under 8s, which are young children. I have the preteens, 8 to 12. And then I have the teenagers, 13 to 19. So I'm going to go ahead and share first about the younger children. A lot of the children under 8, they're pre-Braille, beginning Braille, or they could be, low vision. So you have to first find out what is the vision of the child that you're looking to purchase something for. At this stage, there are a lot of pre-Braille toys and pre-Braille books, or beginning Braille books, and even tactile books for little ones. There's also audio books. One of the gifts that my daughter loved the most, she came home just before her 5th birthday from India. She's adopted, and she has LCA, by the way. We got her Hallmark audiobooks. We recorded messages on them to her before she even came home from India. We sent them across, and she was able to hear our voices, even though she couldn't see our faces. And so we were able to say hello that way. So that was very special. And what little child doesn't want to hear grandma's voice, or, someone that's a loved one's voice with a message recorded to them and a story being read. There's also, of course, Disney audiobooks. There's Bookshare. There's a lot of options, but sometimes the child may not yet be connected. So maybe your gift is connecting them to either like their library audiobook store or program, or maybe it's Bard, getting them connected to that if they're not already. There are so many sound toys out there, and I'm finding that toddlers that are blind and visually impaired love them, as do everybody, except the parents after a while. It can get a little too much sometimes with some of these sound toys, I can tell you from personal experience. Also think about the batteries. If you're gifting a sound toy, the batteries only last so long. So you might also want to think about gifting some batteries as well. Some of the more popular toys have been Cash Cow, Telly, the teaching time clock, the beat balls. These days, I was shocked. I did a little research. Not only is there beat balls, there's rattle balls, there's bell tennis balls, there is audio balls for basketball, volleyball, football. You can even buy the little beeping box that I often see the Easter egg hunts put on by various organizations. You can buy one of these little beeping boxes for $6.95, and a child can play hide and go seek with that little beeping box. And you can put it in all kinds of different things that you want to put it into, balls or whatever. The Bop It game has traditionally been very popular for a lot of young kids. VTech Company makes a lot of VTech toys, soft toys, learning toys. You can program some of these toys with your child's name on there and their preferences, like their favorite colors and things like that. And that is really fun for them to be able to listen to that and have it be specialized for them. One of my favorite toy companies is B Company. They were created by a bunch of engineers, and they have a couple pieces that they've created that are just amazing, like the toy called the Orchestra Pit. It is a small scale orchestra pit with different instruments, and you can put the different instruments into the orchestra pit, and then they start playing. And each one is a tactile piece of what the shape of the instrument is, so they can learn the sound of each instrument and how it's designed. They also have a microphone, and if you're trying to encourage speech with your young person, then that's also helpful. Also accessible board games. There's so much just in that category alone. You can also purchase accessibility kits for the board games. Those range in price from about $15 to $150. Of course, there's always Braille Uno, Twister, Chinese checkers, Braille Scrabble, chess, regular checkers, Connect 4, Monopoly, tactile tic-tac-toe, dominoes and dice, Play-Doh, raised line drawing boards, wiki sticks. That's really helpful to be able to recreate different things. Sometimes we use them for school. A Rubik cube that's tactile. Stickers. My daughter loves the happy face stickers, and she puts those on the back of the notes that she writes to other people. Then there's also bingo. You can get it in low vision, in Braille. One of my favorite things to gift over the years has been instruments, especially percussion instruments, little drums, triangles, shakers, tambourines. All of those things are a lot of fun, and you can make music with your little one. The learning toy category is huge. These are important because it is a little harder sometimes if you're blind to be able to learn about, say, telling the time. So there's talking calculators, there's clocks, watches, timers. And one of the timers that's out has a countdown for the last few seconds. And that really gets my daughter going. There's also tactile compasses, so many different options. Even a Braille calendar is a learning tool for a person that is blind and is learning Braille. Another gift that a lot of people don't think about that I always like to mention is sunglasses and visors and hats. A lot of us with visual impairments, we're very sensitive to the light. And so a good pair of glasses that either have blue tech or blue light blocking technology might be able to help save what little vision we do have left. So that's something most people probably don't even think about. We're also a lot on screens, right? Even children. So if they have glasses with blue tech technology in them, that might also help, with preserving their vision. The next category is preteens, 8 to 12-year-olds. This category can start to overlap very much so with the teenagers. And the reason why I say that is because of the technology. We're seeing that the young ones are getting the technology in their hands earlier and earlier. There's good things about that. There's probably some bad things about that too. The good things is that it gives them a lot more accessibility. For the preteen category, gift cards are always a good idea. They really seem to enjoy Apple Music and iTunes gift cards. Amazon gift cards is great for them for being able to pick out something of their own and having that opportunity to say, what do I want? And then to come up with something, because that's important too, for them to have a choice. There's different organizational gifts. Now, these may not be as fun, but I find my daughter has a really hard time finding her way around her bedroom and finding what she needs. So the Braille labeler might come in handy, where I can help her label things so she can find where her clothes are and where her toys are kept. Little dots to mark appliances can help include that young person in doing some chores around the house. Organizing an organizing project may not sound like fun, but it might be a huge help to them throughout the whole rest of the year if you help them with organizing as part of their bedroom, their closet, for example, or maybe their desk. Adventure gifts. This is an exciting area. Kayaking, sailing, horse riding lessons, whatever their interest may be, you can give a gift of lessons or an experience so that they can experience something new, something they haven't ever been exposed to before. In our area, we have environmental travel companions, and they can be instrumental in helping us parents getting our children out to say maybe skiing or skiing lessons. So you might have something like that in your area. Concert tickets. Now, during the pandemic, that hasn't been as good of an option. There hasn't been as many concerts, but maybe there's an outdoor concert if you live in an area where the weather's not too cold at this time of the year. Tickets to sports events or even small day trips. You can even make a certificate for them in Braille or large print about a day trip to the beach or something that they would really enjoy. Tactile art supplies, things like beads, jewels, rhinestones, raised stickers, clay, whatever it is they're into. It could even be a Michael's gift card or a craft store that's close by to them, and they can pick out whatever art supplies they would enjoy. Cooking items. I won't go into that too much because I know we have somebody covering that. But talking measuring devices, brailled measuring cups and spoons are kind of some basics that are really important to have around the house so that your young person can get involved in being a part of what's made in the kitchen. One 8-year-old that I spoke to for Christmas this year, he says he would like a lightsaber, a punching bag for boxing, and a drone. I thought that was pretty creative, pretty much all three of those ideas. Cash
And Lisa,
gifts.
this is Katie. Just to let you know, it's about 2 minutes.
Thank you. Perfect. Cash gifts are always another good option for both the preteen category and the teenager category. Again, allows them to choose. 13 to 19-year-olds, teenagers. They're getting a little bit more mobile now. Uber, Lyft gift cards, restaurant gift cards might be of interest. When I spoke to teenagers throughout this whole last year doing career program work, I found iPhones were really important to them. Maybe they want an upgraded iPhone. Maybe that's a possibility. Or maybe it's accessories for their iPhone. Or maybe it's a bone conduction headphones that might be helpful for them. A subscription to SuperSense, which is like, it's an app like Seeing Eye or Ira, might be helpful to them. One teenage girl I said she would really like some new clothes, jewelry, body washes, lotions, and perfumes. So if you know what scent a person likes, a perfume might be a good option. If you don't forget about the gift receipt. Try and include that. Video games for the visually impaired population. Very exciting. Things are changing. There are some amazing games out there. One of them is called Lost and Hound. And even I want to play that. It's a rescue adventure game with a dog by the name of Biscuit leading the team. And it's based on real life rescues. There's lots of other games that I saw online. Far Cry, New Dawn, A Blind Legend, Mortal Kombat. Okay, that didn't sound like my favorite. Shades of Doom, that wasn't me either. But you have to think about the student that you're purchasing things for. One mom told me that she's excited about taking her son to a Michelin star restaurant for a fancy dining experience for the first time in his life. So I thought that sounded pretty uniquely different and a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. There was a lot of great information there. And before we move on to Steve to talk about tech, we did have a couple of questions in the chat. One was about any tips for locating businesses that are own, blind or visually impaired businesses. I know you talked about that as a gift idea, or supporting those. So any thoughts?
Yeah, I had mentioned one that was like the Mega Mall. That one is the Blind Mice Mega Mall, and they've been around since 2003, actually. The other thing I saw was Etsy had, especially as it related to Braille, a lot of folks that have their own businesses, and they're not just located here in the United States, but all around the world. I ordered a Brailled greeting card for my daughter because I don't know Braille really very well. And it's come in from Amsterdam from somebody who's visually impaired over there. So yeah, these days you go online and you're not quite sure, where something's coming from, but you could also do a search and see what comes up online.
Great. And I did put the link for the Braille chocolate in the chat. There's also another link in there for some chocolate. So apparently a lot of us on the call are eager for some Braille chocolate, which is great. What could be better, right? Braille and chocolate.
And that's good for all ages.
Right. Yeah.
Learn to read your Braille. Who was on
eat at the same time? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Snap.
Excellent.
One thing I did mention that I'm hoping someone after me will mention is just about like Google Home, Amazon Echo. There's a kids version, but I didn't want to get into that too much. But it is really a helpful learning resource for students that are blind. So I just wanted to mention that in case it didn't come up later.
Great. Thank you so much. And we will, again, we'll allow for a couple of questions after each presenter. And then at the end, we will open it up for more questions and comments. So thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing that awesome list of resources and gifts. Next, Steve Kelley, would you like to share with us some tech gifts for the holidays, please?
I absolutely would. I am just I'm overwhelmed by Lisa's great list of stuff, and I too am kind of focused on the whole Braille chocolate thing, and I also thought the audio card was awesome, and the drone. Of course, the drone for somebody who's into technology might be a really nice thing. For anybody who knows me, you know that I love the low cost technology, and free is even better. So there's going to be a heavy focus on the freebies and the low cost stuff with me. And again, for anybody who knows me, the very first thing that I want to recommend is the NLS Talking Book Player, because number one, it's free. And number two, I think it's just a great gateway sort of technology for anybody who has recently lost vision and is just trying to get back into the swing of things. I think it's a really good place to start. And the Talking Book Player is something that's sent by NLS, National Library Service, free of charge, and you can get books and magazines sent to you at no cost and postal mail. And I just want to quickly give the number there. And a lot of this information is also on the post on VisionAware. So don't panic if you don't get the numbers or the websites. But the number there is 888-657-723. I'm sorry, 7323. And again, no cost for the service. If you're having difficulty reading print, you pretty much qualify. You just call them. They'll send you the Talking Book Player, the application for it, and then you get set up to receive books once a month. And don't forget, you can order magazines. And if you're in Canada, this service is provided through CELA, C-E-L-A, which stands for the Center for Equitable Library Access. And their number is 855-655-5555. 2273. So that's a great place to get started, I think, with technology. And you could, you can just learn so much. I don't even know how many books are in their library, but it's hundreds of thousands. So, you've got plenty to read, and it's a great gift item. The second item, and you're going to have to forgive me because I work at Hadley, but the second item I would have recommended even before I started working at Hadley a couple of years ago, and that is a no-cost registration to hadley.edu. And not only is it a no-cost registration, but at this point, I think we have over 500 workshops, and there's an awful lot of technology workshops there too, which is kind of one of the reasons I love it, that people can take online. Once you're registered, you can take any of the workshops, as many of the workshops as you want. There's no cost for the workshops. And just so you know, many of these workshops are also available on either a Daisy talking book cartridge that, by the way, will fit in that NLS talking book player, or in Braille or large print. You can also get a USB thumb drive with the audio on it if you request it. Now, you don't need to be a computer user to take advantage of the Hadley workshops. You can register just by calling the help desk, 800-323-4238. So you can do everything that you might want to do by phone if that's more convenient for you. You can order your talking book cartridge and have that sent out to you. So I just think that, that free registration to Hadley is just a wonderful gift. And here's a gift suggestion, especially for that person who may have recently lost vision. One of the most recent workshops is called the Adjusting to Vision Loss Workshop Series. And Douglas Walker is the presenter for that. There are 4 workshops in that series. He's just done a wonderful job in talking about all kinds of different things, how to talk to your family, how to advocate for yourself. Now, a great stocking stuffer, in my opinion, would be to order that, first register at no cost, but then to order that Daisy Talking Book cartridge with the adjustment to vision loss on it and put it in the stocking. I think that would be, a great thing, especially, after they've gotten their NLS talking book player that they can play it on. And by the way, if you don't have a talking book player yet, if you're not registered with NLS, you can just call the help desk at Hadley. They'll get you set up with NLS. They'll get you set up with Hadley. You can do it all with one phone call. So that's why Hadley is my number 2 pick. Number 3, the blank NLS cartridge. And, they're only $12, and you can get them, kind of going back to what Lisa said, you can get them from howellmobility.com. And I think Jerry's part of the community, and Howell Mobility has been around for quite a while. That's where I order all of my talking book cartridges. I get blank ones. By the way, if you want to get a blank talking book cartridge to record some of your own information on, you'll want to get the cable. And I believe that costs about $6. You only need one cable, but the talking book cartridges use kind of a unique cable. You're not going to find it at any of the box stores. Just order it from howellmobility.com. And that's what you can use to transfer files. And here's another gift idea that I think is kind of cool, is to get a blank cartridge. Don't forget your cable, and then record some great podcasts, some music, or even an audiobook. I'm one of those people who is just, I'm obsessed with Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol. And I know that there's a several places that you can get the book and you can record it chapter by chapter or whatever. And I just think, a great stocking stuffer would be to put a couple of those audiobooks right on the NLS cartridge. pop it in the stocking, and you're good to go. And, it's easy to play on the NLS Talking Book Player. 4, Personal Power by Michael Fair, and his last name is spelled F-E-I-R. And Personal Power, the iOS edition, is a book on iOS voiceover with the iPhone or the iPad. And I want to say it's about 700 pages long. Michael has just done an amazing job, and he really covers everything in great detail. Now you can download his book. You want to use his name in a search, Michael Fair, Personal Power, iOS edition. It'll take you to his website, where you can go to Dropbox, and that book is available in all kinds of different file formats. You can get it in EPUB to play on VoiceStream Reader. And the really cool thing is there's also now an audio version that you can put on your blank NLS cartridge to play on the Talking Book Player. So anybody who's having a little bit of trouble or just wants to learn voiceover, I think that's an awesome book. It'll take a little while to read through it, but there's just so much information. Again, that's Michael Fair, F-E-I-R. And number 5, the Seeing AI app, which is available for the iPhone and the iPad. Seeing AI, it's a free app. It's Microsoft. It's an incredible app because it will do all kinds of things like reading and identifying things using the camera. The identification feature is so-so, but the reading features are terrific. You can read a document, you can do it page by page, or there's also a channel there where you just hold the camera up to whatever it is that you want to read, and it will begin reading. And it's great for reading mail, or reading a business card, or anything like that. Just, a quick read. I think for a free app, if you have somebody who is an iPhone user, it's a terrific app. And by the way, there's a Seeing AI for low vision and a Seeing AI for voiceover at Hadley, just saying. Number 6. Oh, and by the way, for the Android user, Google has an app called Lookout, which is very similar. It will read text quite quickly, and you can also read pages of documents. So go to the Google Play Store if you're an Android user or giving a gift for the Android user, and look up Google Lookout. And again, that is also a free app, and you'll love it. It's just so handy. Number 6, again, getting back to what Lisa was saying, I too love the Amazon Echo. And the Echo comes in all kinds of different flavors. I didn't even know that there was a kids version. There are versions that have screens, which I haven't used. I don't know much about, but I do know that you can get started with an Echo Dot. I believe the retail price for the Echo Dot is about $49. But at the holidays time, you can get them in packages of 3 for $75. And I've seen them as low as $25, like on sale. So keep an eye out for those. The Echo Dot is probably the least expensive way to get into it. The Generation 4 Amazon Echo full size has got a terrific speaker in it. And I just saw one recently for $54.99. I think retail is somewhere around $79 or $99 for that, but it's a steal for that. It's really a great piece of technology, easy to use. And by the way, with the Amazon Echo, I mean, there are all kinds of cool things. We all know that you can set reminders, you can stream your music and that sort of thing. One of the things that I think is really cool to do with the Amazon Echo is radio reading services. And not many people think of these, but there are, I don't know, 11 or 12 radio reading services out there that just do a great job. And they're streaming live most of the day. And you can listen to a lot of national newspapers. One of my favorite is the Cincinnati Radio Reading Service, simply because they have a lot of their programs as podcasts. So when you ask for that skill on your Amazon Echo, You can listen to the directory to learn what's available, but then you could listen to the Washington Post or the Wall Street Journal and just do it whenever it's convenient for you. You don't have to go by their schedule. So yeah, the Amazon Echo, that's another one of my favorites. Number 7 for me is a digital recorder called a MicroSpeak. And one of the things that I love about the MicroSpeak is that it's pretty sturdy and it's relatively inexpensive. It's $60, $59.99. And I love to get those at AT Guys. Again, it's part of the community and they support this stuff. And what's so great about the MicroSpeak is that it fits in the palm of your hand, high contrast, tactile buttons, audio menu from the time that you turn it on. It saves as an MP3 file format, so they're they're easy to transfer. It comes with a USB cable if you need to do that, and they're just so convenient, and they're really great for somebody who is not really into technology and just wants a really easy recording device. So take a look at the MicroSpeak, and you can get that from atguys.com. Number 8. Keys You See large print keyboard. I use it every day. You know what I love about this? These keyboards come in yellow keys with black letters or black letters with white keys. They're very durable. It's high contrast. I've used keyboards in the past where, you put the sticky labels on it, and that's great too, because you can get the labels for $15 or $20 at LS&S or Maxi Aids. But the Keys You See, I just think it's a really sturdy keyboard. The contrast is great, and it's just, they're really durable. I've seen some awfully inexpensive, poorly put together keyboards that are just awful. And I want to say that you can get the Keys You See keyboard from ablenetinc.com, and they range in price from about $35 to $50. And you can also get them with a cable or without Bluetooth. Number 9 for me is an Apple iPod Touch. And you might ask, why not the iPhone? Why the Apple iPod Touch, or why not an iPad? Again, back to the low cost focus with Steve. What's cool about the Apple iPod Touch to me, especially for the newcomer to voiceover, somebody who's just getting started, is that's the least expensive device that Apple has with voiceover on it. You can get the Apple iPod Touch for $199, and it comes with voiceover. And just like the iPhone, now with the iPod Touch, of course, you can't make a phone call. I guess technically you could if you connect it to Wi-Fi, but that's another webinar. But the cool thing about this is that, for a relatively inexpensive price, you've got a device with voiceover on it that a person can learn and move forward with. And one of the most frequent things I hear from folks is they're not going to the Apple devices because of cost. They're looking for something that's a little bit cheaper. So that's a way to get into it. And the other tip that I would have for anybody who's looking for an Apple device, or, let's say you would rather have the iPhone, the Apple iPhone, is they have certified refurbished items. And if you go to apple.com, and I believe it's apple.com/shop/refurbish, you'll find the items that are available. And just to give you an idea, I recently saw, I believe it was an iPhone 8, which is a couple generations back, but it's still supporting the latest iOS operating system, for $320. And it comes with an Apple warranty. So for somebody who's looking for an Apple product and maybe just is having a little sticker shock with some of the new stuff, consider the iPod Touch or take a look at some of the refurbished stuff from Apple. Number 10 for me is the Victor Reader Stream 2. And I've just I've lost my place here, so let me find it. And again, you might ask, why not the Victor Reader Trek? Because of course, that's the latest, greatest HumanWare Victor Reader. Well, the reason is that the Victor Reader Stream 2 has the Wi-Fi and it's $425. The Victor Reader Trek is, I believe, $799. The difference is that the Victor Reader Trek, of course, has navigation built in. So if you have a gift going to somebody who really wants the navigation, of course, by all means, get them the Victor Reader Trek. But if they're just looking for a really great media player and just to listen to their podcasts, to download audiobooks, to, use NFB Newsline, that kind of stuff, save the $300 and get the Victor Reader Stream 2, and they're going to be really happy with that. It's just a fabulous media player. And last but not least, and this I did not put on my post for VisionAware and kind of regretted it, was this is something that you can get at your local Home Depot. And it's the Husky 300 lumen LED flip light. Now, these small flip lights kind of fit in the palm of your hand, and they sell them as like workshop lights because it's got a little magnet on the bottom. What I love about this thing is that it's got 3 settings and the light flips up. And because it's got that little magnetic setting, I've taken an empty tuna can, plop it on the tuna can as a base, and I use it for a task light. And it is so cool because it's rechargeable. So I can take it anywhere in the house with me. It's got enough light that I can use it for a keyboard. It also makes a terrific task light for any of those things where there's no outlet. And the other thing that occurred to me, I haven't done this myself, but if you're someone who would prefer a different, like a light filter on it, because it's an LED light, you could take a sheet of yellow acetate or red or green or whatever color works best for you for a filter, and just tape that right over the LED light when you flip it up, and it's going to give you that nice contrast that you'd like. And the cool thing about this light is it's under $20. It's $19.95, and you can get it locally at your Home Depot, or you can buy it online. But I've been able to find mine right at the Home Depot. So that's my holiday gift giving list. And Katie, if there's any questions, I'm happy to field them if we've got a minute or two.
Sure. So that is a lot of great tech stuff. And just to clarify, that last one was the Lumen Light. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's made by Husky, and it's a 300 lumen flip light.
Okay.
And there are different flip lights that they have. I mean, you can get really big ones that you would use in your shop that are just going to be overkill for a task light. I just love this one because it's, fit in the palm of your hand. It's about the size of a flashlight. It's just so handy and so useful.
Excellent. So there's a question in chat about, do you feel that the iPod Touch is a good alternative to the iPhone price-wise?
I think it's a great way for a person to get into voiceover. If they don't need the phone functionality of it, if they're just looking to learn voiceover and try to get into the Apple ecosystem, people don't often think of the iPod Touch. And to me, it's for $199, it's a very inexpensive way to get into the Apple ecosystem, start learning voiceover. But again, you can't make a phone call with it. And that's what a lot of people love the iPhone for. But you can certainly download all kinds of podcasts, music, stream information if you want. use Siri, all of that stuff is available on the iPod Touch. So if it's somebody who is not depending on it as a phone, I think it's a great way to get started, and it's a great way to keep that cost down if that's one of the things you want to do.
Great. Excellent. Well, I don't see any more tech related questions right now, but again, we will leave some time for questions at the end. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much, Steve.
Oh, it's been great. Thank you.
Yes. Next, let's bring up Maribel, who is visiting us here today from, well, it's tomorrow for her, but in Australia. And thank you so much, Maribel, for coming on and presenting today. So I will turn the microphone over to you.
Thank you so much, Katie. What an amazing array of ideas so far. This is wonderful. I was scribbling down some ideas myself. My name's Maribel. I'm coming to you from sunny Melbourne. And my gift ideas are very much about enjoying from all the senses. And I'm not so much giving websites because as I'm in Australia, I'm not sure where you would find these, but mine are very much about how to be creative in our gift giving. Now, on the back of Steve's tech ideas, I do have a couple that I'd like to add to that. I'm not someone who's great. I'm not big on using my phone, so everything else I tend to use quite simple technology. The first I want to mention, I'm turning it on, is called a pen friend. And I'm holding up this device, which is an audible labeler, and it is amazing what it can do, especially when someone's new to vision loss and they want to have an organized kitchen or medication, or I've even seen recently that you can get laundry stickers. So what happens is you put a sticker on an object. So I use it in my spice jars, and you record on the object so that next time you come back, you can just put your pen friend over the top of your recording. And for instance, with my spice rack, I have all the same jars, but I go do all across, and this is what I will hear. Smoked paprika. Smoked paprika. Or I might want coriander seeds ground. So once you've recorded, it's very simple. It just stays on there until you want to change the recording. You don't have to keep them, you can change them. The other thing that's wonderful is for lipsticks. Coral pink. So someone will obviously tell you what it says, and then you can just record on the sticker. Copper blush. Copper blush. I don't know how many times I've raced around the house to try and find a sighted person and a male who may not be able to identify the color. So I find identifying my makeup is very good. So pen friend is an absolute lifesaver for me when it comes to organizing. Now, the other little tech thing is Steve mentioned the audio player. I do like a Daisy machine. I'm holding up a little Daisy player, and that's for all my audio books. And this little device, which is smaller than a phone, holds 60 books on one little card. And I do have a subscription to Audible. And I also use Vision Australia Library. I like to have both because some of the books are really well read in Audible by actors, and they can be really wonderful books to listen to. So that's a great gift idea. And one last little thing in sort of tech is I'm holding up a tiny little radio. It's about 2 inches by 1.5 inches. It's got a little clip on it. I can clip it to my top. I can have some headphones, but it's just a very easy switch on. No tech required. On button, and away you go on your walks in the garden. Have a little radio. Even if you're not sleeping and you don't want to wake your partner, you can have a little listen to the radio in bed to help you fall asleep. So there's some of my little tech gadgets. Now, one other one, which is such a find, I use JAWS. And as you know, JAWS is reading to us constantly through our headphones. And when I was doing a study course, or even when we're doing Zoom, whenever there's a speaker on the speaking, so is JAWS. So you tend to be working with JAWS, and whoever's on the screen can be talking at once through your headset. The new JAWS version has worked out a way to put one JAWS in one ear and the other speaker in the other, but they are still talking at the same time. What I found is that there's an external speaker called Jabra, and it's a little round disc that I'm plugged into right now. And all it does is I have my headphones, which can only hear JAWS, and everything else, my voice and what I'm hearing from you, is coming out on my Jabra speaker, which is about 5 inches round diameter, that's sitting just by my desk. This has saved me so much headache, particularly on Zoom, because as you know, JAWS can alert who's leaving, who's coming, and all those announcements that we get. So the Jabra speaker is an absolute fabulous thing, especially if you're doing studies. So I'm going to move on to other things now, but there is an audio time key ring. That's a very small device that you press the button and you can take that with you. Again, you don't have to turn on your mobile phone. You can just keep it in your pocket and it announces the time. Naturally, there are also audible clocks and watches. So that's another whole selection of telling the time gadgets. There's also a little Braille key ring. One of my friends at VisionAware was talking about the other day, and it's like a Rubik's Cube, and it has 3 layers to it, and it has all the dots of the Braille alphabet. So it's a great device for someone who wants to learn Braille, because it's a very fidgety little thing, and you just turn it around till you get the dots in the right place, and then you're learning what is A and what is B, what is C. Great device for little kids as well, and it's a fun way to learn Braille. I'm just listening to my JAWS at the moment. So another idea was, yes, if you want to record someone's favorite music and then give that to them as a gift on a USB or on a CD. I still use a CD player. I'm not sure if that's being very old-fashioned, but that's what I like to do as well. Now, in the kitchen, although Jeannie is going to open up a whole array of things, there are 2 gadgets I just want to mention, and they're not really gadgets, but this thing here is called a multiplaner. And I'm holding up, it sort of looks like a spatula. It's about, 8 inches long, but the point is it's a grater that only grates in one direction. So you can be grating away and you can't cut yourself. This is a wonderful gift for people in the kitchen. It's not very expensive, and you can get various different diameters of what you want to grind. And then the other little thing in the kitchen is in here in Australia, I know I can get from Vision Australia, they're rubber bands, they're tactile, and I'm holding up a rubber band. There's 4 in a pack, they're different colors, but they're very quick and easy just to slip over things like your tin tomatoes, or you might use it to tell the difference between shampoo and conditioner. I know that we can just use a hair tie or a rubber band, that's free, but these have different markers. So there's some with squares, some with circles. That'll be hard to see, but they're all tactile bumps. So you can work out your own system. And they're the things that I like to put in the kitchen. Okay. And of course, I use lots and lots of baskets for things. Okay. Now I'm moving into things like what we can do that are homemade for our friends. So think about homemade oils and vinegars. They are not very hard, and you can find them, just Google a recipe. Often you just have to grab a couple of scoops, handfuls of, say, the rosemary or basil or any herb you're growing, and you'll just heat it up with some oil, and then you'll strain that and you'll pop that into a jar. So I would recommend looking that up for a recipe. There's even herb salt, and I tried one the other day called nasturtium salt. Now that I have so much nasturtium growing here, that's a lovely plant that you can eat, and you use the flowers as well. And I just grabbed 2 handfuls of the flowers and leaves and half a cup of salt and put that in a dehydrator. And within about an hour, I had this lovely green looking salt with a little taste of that peppery nasturtium. So that's a very cheap, affordable salt that you can make for friends. And there's a lemon curd recipe that I always love to make for friends. It only has 4 ingredients. And I'm sorry, I've only got them in grams. I'm not sure if you'll have to convert these, but all you need is 8 lemons, 500 grams of sugar, white sugar, 200 grams of butter, and 6 eggs. And basically all you're going to do is melt the butter, the sugar, add the lemon, the eggs, and stir that gently for 20 minutes. And then you pour into your sterilized jars, and you have, it'll thicken when it gets cold and keep in the fridge. You have a beautiful gift for people, and it's a real winner, that one. I have friends who ask me to make it especially as a gift for them now. So that's a lovely free, well, not free, but very affordable present that you can make. So you make a little basket, a few ingredients, some salt, some lemons, some vinegar, and there you've got a very lovely personalized taste basket. So again, you can do your preserves and chutneys, which I'm very big on, and even leaf teas where you might have French Earl Grey. But I saw on Amazon, you can get a teapot in the shape of a pumpkin or a flamingo or a cat, and maybe do that with a little lovely bunch of leaf tea. So it's about how creative can you be with what you know about the person and their likes. So some more mixture of my ideas, which are my pot puree of gift ideas. There is the APH Insights Braille Calendar. That is a lovely gift. I was sent that last year and I have loved it. Not only has it got beautiful paintings and pictures of the winners of the art, but it's in Braille, so it can help you learn Braille as well. And also it's very practical. Now, lamps I like to have in my house. I bring them in as beacons where I might want to find a doorway. So it might be that I can prop it somewhere on a shelf nearby, and then I can just, during the night, pop them on, and it's got a lovely ambience, but it's also giving me a little bit of a hint to where I need to go for the door. I also use lamps in my kitchen to help me cook. So my personal favorites in terms of cosmetics. Now, obviously, you need to find out if people are allergic to scents, and it's not a good idea to give fragrances that are cheap chemical replicas, because they are, as we said, they're chemicals, so they can create irritation. But there are some very beautiful natural products, and I love using rose water spray. It's very gentle, and you just spray it on your face to cool, or on a hanky, and it's just very, very gentle. I also like a body oil, which is made from pure natural products, and I put a little bit around my eyes. They get very tired, but again, you need to make sure that it's a natural product, because otherwise it will cause irritation. And again, find out if it's a scent that people will like. And there's the other thing that I really love is looking for tactile and pretty storage containers, things that not only you can put something in, but the gift box itself is something special. And I have here, I'm going to hold up, it's got lots of earrings hanging off it. It's a wooden mushroom, and it's got lots of little holes, but you just hang all your earrings. You can see I have quite a few, but it's a lovely way to feel and keep them all together. Sometimes when you put them in a box, they get all jangled up. So that's all the different baskets and things. But now what I'm going to move on to is the garden. Now, I know you're going into winter and you may not be so much into the garden, but here's some ideas anyway. Or you might be in sunny Florida and still be able to get out into the garden. Now, here we go. I've just got a few. Okay, this is, I hope it's working. Wind chimes, absolutely beautiful. And I have them in my garden. They can also be used a little bit like beacons because you can hear where you're going. So definitely wind chimes for me. Solar lights in the garden are quite affordable. And again, you pop them in the ground and they can act as a bit of a pathway at night to help steer you towards the steps or wherever you want to go in your garden. Fairy lights are very cheap and they run on batteries and you can take them camping, but they bring that extra light. Now, how I like to use fairy lights is in a tall glass jar. You put them in there and they sort of all hang in a big, sort of in a cascade of light, and you turn it on. And when you put that on the dining table, it's like you've got this fountain of lights all coming out and spilling over the top of the glass. And the beauty is that it's not a candle, so you're not going to burn yourself, and it's bringing light to the dinner table for your Christmas table. I also like to use white pots or buckets in the garden at the edges of places to help guide me. So at the bottom, some steps, not somewhere where you're going to trip up, but more as a beacon to guide me there. And I have found recently that something cheap like a rubber gym mat, which is the light blue color, if I cut that in half, I can set that near an edging of a garden that I might want to kneel down and pick my vegetables. And it's also showing me where I might be. So for instance, if I'm in the garden, I will take with me a white basket, and in that I keep my scissors, my trowel, and then I take that along with my gym mat so I can look around the garden and know where I was. Because when you're vision impaired, you really can get disoriented in the garden. So these are just lovely little ideas to keep you orientated there. Of course, fragrant plants for the keen gardener, all sorts of herbs and fragrances, tactile plants in a beautiful pot. They're also lovely gift ideas. Bulbs for spring. Now, what I would do is buy some packs of bulbs and put them in a nice pot. So I'm now holding up a bright yellow pot that's in the shape of a pineapple. And this is a ceramic pot, and I could put a couple of packs of bulbs, and that's the present. Okay, so yes, I'm into containers. Now, at the front gate, I like to have fake flowers, believe it or not. Here's a little bunch of fake white tulips. Hello. And I keep them in a pot near the door or by the gate so that when I'm coming down the street, I can see them. I have also found them very handy when I've gone camping, because when you're in amongst a lot of tents, I've stuck at the base of the tent and I'm looking for a patch of white fake daisies, and I know that that's my tent. I use garden statues and pottery animals as well, just as a little splash of interest in the colour. And rubber garden clogs, because they're quick to put on, they're easy, they're washable, and these are just gifts for the gardener who may have everything. Seeds in packets, of course. It's always lovely to receive seeds. And you present them in some lovely special wicker basket or some unusual tactile container. So the best tip is the wrapping, as I said. Tactile wrapping makes a lovely surprise. So give some thought. Instead of using paper, you might find a lovely soft scarf or fabric with an unusual touch, and textured gift boxes, anything that's tactile. And also use velvet ribbons. But what I like to put on is festive ornaments that have a little clip. And what I'm holding up here is a very sparkly bird, and it has a clip. So once the present's wrapped, I can put a ribbon and I clip this to the ribbon and it sits on top of the present. And it might be anything that you can find from, in a Christmas store that's selling little gifts like this, but it's such a beautiful addition to at the top of the gift. But my final gift, which is quite innovative, very cheap, in these COVID days where we need to present a certificate, instead of having to have it on your phone, my partner made a laminated card which has my vaccinations both printed out on a little piece of paper, laminated, so that when I go to the shops, I just pull this out of my bag. End of story. Don't have to get my phone. Don't have to rely on my phone having battery. So Katie, they are my gift ideas for this year.
Thank you so much, Maribel. Those were great ideas. Someone in the chat said your garden sounds lovely, and I agree. It absolutely does. So thank you. And I think there was another thing in the chat that I just missed. My screen reader passed it by, so sorry about that. Let me make sure that we don't have any questions. Yes, just great, some great ideas there. A lot of really good, from tech to things that smell good and helpful things around the kitchen, which is always good. So again, we don't have any direct questions right now, but we'll move on to the kitchen, or rather to Jeannie Johnson, who will talk about kitchen gadgets. And I know for me on the East Coast, it is 6 p.m. So about dinner time. So looking forward to hearing what Jeannie will share with us for the kitchen. So Jeannie, I will hand it over to you.
All right. Am I being heard?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Zoom threw me out and I had to come back in, so I wanted to make sure. All right. So I love the kitchen, as those who know me are aware. The first item I have that would be a great gift for almost anyone, whether you like to just sit at home and watch TV, movies, and that kind of thing, is a silicone microwave popcorn popper. So you're sitting there and, it's the middle of the game, or it's the middle of a really good movie, but you don't mind being gone for 2 or 3 minutes. And perhaps you can hear the movie from the kitchen anyway, if your living room is nearby. So you can run in, throw a little oil in this popcorn popper and some popcorn, stick it in the microwave for 3 minutes, and voila, you have, depending on how much you put in there, if you fill it up all the way, you end up having about 3 quarts of cooked wonderful popcorn that you can go in and share with those who are perhaps watching the movie or the game with you. So I love my silicone popcorn popper. There are different brands. We do have a link to one. And then my next thing is the safety can opener. A lot of times when a person tries to open a can, number one, it can be a little cumbersome, but number two, you end up with a sharp edge on the lid of the can or a sharp edge on the can itself. And that's not fun, because you could accidentally cut your finger. There are manual safety can openers. The one I happen to have right now is made by a company called Kunriken. And Hamilton Beach also makes an electric can opener, and I did not put the link to that one, that doesn't leave any sharp edges when it opens the can. Also, one of my favorite things is a knife set where all the knives have protective sheaths. So you don't have to worry when you reach into the knife drawer, because they're all covered when they're not in use. And again, that brand is Kunriken. There's also a nylon knife that is not serrated that you can use on your non-stick pans if you're cutting brownies or something like that. and it is from Pampered Chef. Also, there's something called a lettuce knife that is serrated, and you can use it for cutting up greens and that kind of thing. While we're talking about cutting, I love cutting mats. You can get these in all different sizes. My favorite ones are from Pampered Chef, and no, I don't have stock in Pampered Chef, but they're not too big, yet you can still use them, and you can get some mats that are in different colors so that you can have contrast between, if you have some vision between what you're cutting and the color of the surface that you're cutting on, and that can be often helpful. While you are cutting, you can wear food prep safety gloves. They're made out of the same material like gloves for butchers use are made out of. And the nice thing about them is they're very thin, so you can even, have some tactile awareness through these gloves. And you can either wear one on the hand that isn't holding the knife, or if you want to protect both hands, you can do that too. Also, if you are using a mandolin, you're probably going to want to wear one of these. And if you are using a mandolin, always use the guard that holds the vegetable, because people have gotten serious injuries from incorrectly using a mandolin for vegetables and fruits and such. One of my favorite products is called the Chop Chop or the Pull Chop. These are by Kunriken, and the only difference is one is a 2-cup container, the other is a 3-cup container. And again, other companies make these. Some of the other brands are more expensive. I don't know that they're any better, but you just you cut your onion, for example, into fourths and put it in the container where you've already put the blade in the middle. You put the lid on, and there's a string, and you pull the string, kind of like the talking dolls that some of us who are old enough to remember those had. And every time you pull the string, the blade goes around, and with each pull, your item gets chopped a little smaller. And so you can either have big chop, small chop, dice, or you can even make it smaller than dice, whatever you want to do, all with the pull of the string. Something else that I think a lot of people will appreciate, and none of these items that I've mentioned so far are very expensive, including this one. And this one can run on electricity or batteries, and it's called the Rotato. It's like potato with an R, Rotato Express. And it will peel your potatoes, your apples, anything like that that you have to peel if you don't like using a manual peeler to peel the fruit, the peeling from your fruits and vegetables. And I love that one. Now, if you're going shopping for groceries, a lot of you probably have to bring your groceries home on paratransit. Now, things are a little different now because a lot of stores will deliver groceries. Hallelujah. That's just wonderful. But if you do have to go get groceries or other things and you want a way to carry them, some paratransit systems even say you're limited to 10 bags. These are large, reusable shopping bags. And also, if you live in a part of the country where they don't use the plastic and you don't want to mess with the paper bags, you can use these. They're very sturdy. They have a flat bottom, and they have nice big handles so that you can put them over your arm if you want. Now, my husband says, I don't know if it's really true, my husband says guys don't put handles of bags over their arms. But anyway, I do, and anyone who can, you can do that, because these are wonderful handles so that if it's not too heavy, you can put 2 or 3 bags on each arm to carry them. Something else that I love is my kitchen scale that talks. It will talk in grams or in ounces or pounds. You can adjust it accordingly. And there are different models of this. I actually don't have the newest model. I have the one that was before the newest model, but I love it. So I can buy in bulk, and then I can break my foods down into smaller packages, but have them in equal weights. I'll do that, for example, with ground beef. I'll buy a 5-pound tray and break it down into 5 1-pound packages, or maybe 3 1-pound packages, and then I'll use the other 2 pounds and make patties that are all about the same weight. So that's really convenient, and I make great use of it. If you want a food processor that is easy to put together, works great, and there just aren't many questions about it because you can only put the container on one way and can only put the lid on one way, and you don't have to fuss with it and try to figure it out. It is the Hamilton Beach 70740. That's the model number, HB 70740. It's about 8 cups that it will hold. And to me, it is a great food processor, and the only one that I use now. All right, so now we're getting in, and it's under $50, I think, on Amazon. So now we're getting into a few of the more expensive items, perhaps. Air fryers are one of the big deals these days. People love air fryers. For a person who is blind or visually impaired, often it's much better to get a kitchen appliance that has knobs instead of being digital, because it's easier for us to operate those, and a person can put tactile marks at the settings that they use the most. For example, one of my favorite standalone air fryers is made by Insignia, which is the it's the brand name for Best Buy. I think it's 5.8 quart, does have knobs, and it has either square or rectangular basket that's almost square, where you're going to get the most bang for your buck as far as the space utilized. It's better than, I think, than a round one, because if it's round, a lot of that space is cut off. And it's very easy to use. It does a great job. But if you want something that'll do more than just air fry, I recommend an air fryer toaster oven. And I have the Cuisinart air fryer convection toaster oven TOA60. Now, if you're buying for a person who doesn't have vision problems, the TOA65 is the digital model. But for those of us who benefit from having the knobs, it's the TOA60. Also, you may know that multi-cookers, such as the Instant Pot, have become a great kitchen item. I love mine. I have 2. And my favorite one, because they have different models, is the Duo. It's very easy to learn to use if you don't have vision or have very little vision. And then they now have a model called the Duo Nova, and that even makes it easier for you to use the Instant Pot. It's great. You only have to dirty one thing when you're cooking meals. I can cook spaghetti, for example, all in one pot, where before I had the one pot for the spaghetti, the other pot for the sauce, the colander for draining the grease off the meat, and for draining the spaghetti. Anyway, this makes it a lot easier, and I can put it all in my Instant Pot. And after 7 to 9 minutes under pressure, depending on how well done you like your pasta, voila, you have a spaghetti dinner. Another thing that I really love, and this is the most expensive thing on my list, and so I saved it for last, but it is a set of cookware. It actually comes in different sizes, but if you have someone and you want to get them a complete set that has almost everything they'll need, it's the Ninja Premium Never Stick Hard Anodized Cookware. And I forget, I think the set has like 16 pieces, and the item number is 39900. So 39900, that's a big set, and they have other sets that are a little smaller that you can get. And all these things are great presents for anyone who likes to be in the kitchen. I already have most of these things, so if you were buying from me, you'd have to think of something else, but I'm sure we can come up with something. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And I hope all of you have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you so much, Jeannie. Those were great, awesome resources. Very good for us to think about for the kitchen. I'm just adding a couple links here in chat for some of these things, and Chris has done that as well for a couple things. So really good resources there. Yes, so many great gift ideas. As we're nearing the end, want to kind of open it up for questions for if anyone has any questions about the gifts we've talked about so far, or if anyone on the panel wants to add anything or make any comments.
I had one item I didn't get a chance to share. Actually, two. I was really excited about finding this one. I actually bought it for my husband. Oh, he must be wearing it. I was going to show it to you. It's called the Bradley timepiece, and it's made by a company called E1, and it's designed for everybody. It's a tactile watch, and it's not one of the audible watches that say, very loudly, the time is now, so you can quietly check your watch and know what time it is, because it has a little ball bearing, and that tells you where it is along the face of the watch. And it's a part of a new concept called universal design. So it means everybody can access it. And it was designed by somebody who had a friend who was blind. So I thought it was just a wonderful idea. And I'm sorry, I can't show it to you since my husband's wearing it at the moment. But I wanted to mention it. So E1 is the name of the company, and the website is just e1-time.com. The second thing I wanted to mention just briefly is, all of us, even here on Zoom at this moment, we are having to keep our phones charged. And so I have come across this wonderful device that our children's advocate had actually bought for us. It's called an INIU, and it is basically, it is just a, I guess a power bank, they call it. And you can buy them on Amazon. But I've bought this as gifts for several people, because being visually impaired, we're on technology all the time. And so it looks like this. It charges your phone up really fast, and it keeps you going on all those long Zoom calls. Thank you.
Thank you. And Lisa, we had a question for you in chat. Somebody asked what you talked about, a toy. You mentioned it after the cash cow idea. Are you there, Lisa?
Sorry about that. I think it's Kelley, the teaching time clock, is what I mentioned right after the cash cow.
Great. And another question came up about, let me get back. I believe it was kitchen aids for children, but let me find that. Yes, kitchen mitts for children.
There are gloves that are made in very, very small sizes that are supposed to protect children when they're cutting. I'm not sure if that's exactly the item that the person's referring to, but when we did classes with California School for the Blind over the summer that were cooking classes, they had sent us a couple pairs of these. I think it depends on the person. I mean, some people want to be able to tactily really feel everything, but when you're little and you're learning to cut, maybe it's best to protect those little fingers. So I don't have a pair in front of me right now, but I will check my kitchen and I will get back to you in just a sec.
Great, thank you.
Katie, can I just add something for children as well that I used because my children are sighted, but I'm vision impaired. When I gave them a puzzle, like a wooden puzzle, on the back of each piece, I had a text mark, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order. And I didn't tell them about that. And so that I could actually do the puzzle with them, knowing if I quickly had a look at the back, then I could help in that puzzle as well.
Great. And to clarify, to the question posed earlier, the person is seeking oven mitts for children so if anyone has any ideas for oven mitts that are good for children to use. And if not, we will try to see if we can find something for you, or a Google search might yield something as well. But I don't know of anything off the top of my head for children oven mitts. So,
And I don't either. So sorry. I know it can be hard to find those a little bit smaller, but maybe the silicone ones that adults use in the extra small size, that might be one option.
Great. Just a couple more minutes left. And again, I did mention this in the chat, but I will speak it out loud that we will post follow-up material to the aphconnectcenter.org/webinars. You can find us at aphconnectcenter.org or VisionAware.org. And you can also, if you are needing resources for blindness or experiencing vision loss, you can call our information and referral line, and that number is in the chat, but I will voice it out loud as well for people. That number is 800-282-5463, and you can email us at aphconnectcenter.org, all one word. So those are some ways that you can reach out to us and connect with us at the APH Connect Center. I want to again thank our panelists for coming today and sharing your time and gift ideas and expertise with us. So thank you to Lisa, Steve, Maribel, and Jeannie for all of your great contributions today. They were very much appreciated. And thanks to my colleague, Chris, who helped put some links in chat and introduce our panelists, and it's great working with her. And there are some questions coming in about credits. There are no continuing credits or ACVRP credits for this webinar. So just want to let everyone know that that is not the case. With that, Chris, any closing comments from you or anyone else on the panel?
No, I don't have anything. Everybody did a great job. So thank you all. And we will send out more information. So.
Yes, we will make sure that people get all of the great links and resources. And again, you can find a lot of this at visionaware.org with the gift giving blog and the other posts up there around the holidays and cooking and a lot of other great material. So with that, wishing everyone a happy holiday, safe and happy holiday season. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Happy cooking.
Thank you.
Happy day, Maribel.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Thanks,
Good
everyone.
night.
All right. Bye-bye.